Be talking about this. We will be sharing this. Tragedy, unfortunately, that just took place. I'm glad to have you guys in. I want to go ahead and read an article too, just to go ahead. We will be talking about this. We will be sharing this. So I'm glad to have you guys in. I want to go ahead and read an article too, just to go ahead and get things started for tonight. Article about this guy, Michael Lewis. Unfortunately, he was black. Unfortunately, he was a black man. What this dude was tripping on, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea what he was tripping on. You know, he said he was in pain. He had surgery, and he took it out on innocent people. And I think I read somewhere that this is like the 200 and something mass shooting. I don't know if it was this year or what, but just a ridiculous number, just a ridiculous amount of people being killed, just a ridiculous amount of mass shootings going on. So we'll go ahead and start discussing this while the others filter in. Like last time, Ray, you said you saw how everybody else started coming in later. So we'll go ahead and start it up. And you guys can chime in. And this is curated on Newstoter.com from the dailybeast.com. And the gentleman's name is Michael Smith. And the title of the article is Tulsa gunman ran into his surgeon, then bought a rifle 3 hours before hospital massacre. Michael, who was 45, killed 4 people and himself after complaining repeatedly about back pain following surgery, Tulsa police said. I'm just going to read this straight off of the website. Last month, Michael Lewis had an operation on his back, but the pain had become too much to bear, he claimed. And when enraged, Lewis couldn't find relief, he blamed the man trying to help him, his doctor. Police said Lewis shot 2 orthopedists and a medical receptionist, a bystander, than himself at a medical office in Tulsa, Oklahoma on Wednesday afternoon using a semi-automatic rifle he bought just 3 hours earlier from a gun store. So just 3 hours earlier, my man went in there and he caught him a semi-automatic rifle at a local gun store. Lewis, 45-year-old resident from Muskogee, had roots in New Jersey and also went by Michelet Lewis, his family told the Daily Beast. We're so distraught, Lewis' niece texted earlier Thursday morning. She asked not to be named in the story, citing the nature of the crime. I don't even want to be associated, she told the Daily Beast, emphasizing that the family does not condone violence of any kind. We are aware that he has been experiencing back pain for a long time, but there is no reason for this senseless act, she said. We are a Christian-based family. We have never experienced this before. Dr. Preston Phillips, an orthopedic surgeon who performed Lewis' back surgery, was killed. Tulsa Police Chief Wendell Franklin said at a press conference Thursday, Lewis had been released from the hospital on May 24th, but continued to complain that he was in pain, according to Franklin. He called to complain several times over several days, Franklin said, including on Wednesday, the day of the shooting. When he called Dr. Phillips' office again, complaining of back pain and wanting additional assistance. At 2 p.m. that day, Lewis purchased an AR-15 style rifle from a local gun store. He took it to the hospital along with a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson semi-automatic handgun he bought on May 29th from an area pawn shop, Franklin said. Franklin said officers got a 911 call at 4:52 p.m. from a patient who was having a video visit with the doctor, who told him to contact the police about a shooting in the Natalie Medical Building near St. Francis Hospital. Police arrived on the scene 4 minutes later. At 4:58 p.m., just 39 seconds after they entered the Natalie building, they heard one last gunshot, which believed was Lewis killing himself. Phillips was dead in the exam room in the Warren Clinic Orthopedic Surgery and Sports Medicine on the 2nd floor, according to Franklin. He said cops rescued an elderly woman hiding under a desk at the feet of Lewis' body. A second orthopedist, Dr. Stephanie Hussein, was killed in the shooting The other two victims were identified by authorities as Amanda Glenn, a receptionist, and William Love, who accompanied a patient to an appointment there. Love and Glenn stood in the way. Lewis gunned them down, Franklin said, noting that Love was shot while holding the door closed so someone else could escape through another exit. Franklin said a note was found on Lewis that made it clear that he came with the intent to kill Dr. Phillips and anyone who got in his way. He blamed Dr. Phillips for the ongoing pain following the surgery. Shortly after the shooting, Tulsa police asked police to search a home owned by Lewis and his wife, Edith Lubin, after being told there may be a bomb inside. The home was evacuated Wednesday night, according to authorities. While police don't believe Lubin had any advance warning from Lewis about his plan, Franklin said Lewis contacted her either before the shooting took place or during the shooting and let her know what he had done. She later called the police to relay information. Phillips was a section chief of Warren Clinic and specialized in spine disorders, joint reconstruction, and surgical procedures. He graduated from Harvard Medical School in 1990, completed his residency at Yale New Haven Hospital, and was in the Jazz, the Oklahoman reported. He also served on the board of directors at the John Hope Franklin Center, which seeks to transform society's division into social harmony in memory of 1921's brutal Tulsa race massacre. Patients praised Phillips online as gracious and kind, and St. Francis CEO Cliff Roberson called him the consummate gentleman. His clinic would not always be on time because he will spend every minute with patients that they need, Roberson said. He is one of the doctors that was cut from the cloth 4 decades ago in terms of how he felt about people, he felt about his calling. So it's not only a shock, it is ultimate loss for St. Francis in Tulsa. Phillips' children and wife, Melanie, declined to speak to the Daily Beast when reached by phone on Wednesday evening. Love was an Army veteran and just recently bought an RV with his wife, according to local reports. In the emotional Facebook post, Glenn's brother, Jim Messenger, remembered his sister as one of the most kind and caring individuals to ever live. I haven't really came up with the words yet. I honestly have no idea what to say because I've been historically crying since I found out, he wrote, adding that he remained in complete shock. Hussein, a dog lover specialized in sports and internal medicine, a patient remembered her on Facebook as an incredibly warm, smart, and caring woman. I just don't know how to feel or what to say, but I just wanted to testify that Dr. Hussein was a fine woman and she will be missed. When initially reached by the Daily Press Wednesday night, Lewis' family expressed disbelief that he had been even involved. This is really crazy. This is shocking. No one in our family has ever exhibited this type of behavior, no one, his niece said. After receiving the confirmation her uncle was involved, she told the Daily Beast, it's just so shocking. Like if he had killed himself, okay. But those innocent people, that's what I'm hurting about. Dr. Ryan Elizabeth Parker, Associate Medical Officer at St. Francis, a practicing emergency physician, said at Thursday's press conference that she had lunch with Phillips on Tuesday. I know that all my colleagues went into medicine to help people, Parker said. We're supposed to be the ones that are caring for others during tragedies like this. To think that our caregivers were the victims is just incomprehensible to me. They died while serving others. They died in the line of duty. I'm so sorry we couldn't save you, Parker added, directly addressing Love, then saying to his family, we're grieving with you. In a statement issued Thursday, the St. Francis Health System said it would be offering counseling, pet therapy, and other services to members of our family who need help coping with the processing the tragedy that occurred yesterday. Last year, a Minnesota man killed one person and wounded 4 in a mass shooting. He claimed he carried out to bring attention to the pain he had been experiencing after having back surgery. So yeah, pretty crazy there. I see we got a couple people. We got Ray and DJ requesting, so go ahead and let you guys chime in. Give me 1 second here. That was just definitely very crazy. I understand that you're in pain. I understand that you're going through it, man, but good Lord, like, that is crazy. That is just, I can't put into words. When we first heard this report go out, I know everybody in the back of their mind was like, please don't let this dude be black. Not with all this stuff about Tulsa, the race massacre and stuff coming up. Please don't let this be a Negro. And sure enough, it was this crazy, selfish nutcase who went out there and murdered people because his back pain. He's the only person to ever have surgery to experience pain and discomfort. I mean, if you felt that way, man, why not go out there and file a class action lawsuit against the doctor? Ray, go ahead and speak on it. I'll mute my mic.
What's going on, family? As everybody knows, I'm a big pro 2A advocate for Black America. This is just a very tough situation because I don't want to seem like I don't care, because I absolutely do care. I'm not really sure what to say, honestly, because we're in a position where we cannot give the guns back to the same government that has historically oppressed us. But then they're trying to make it seem like we're monsters if we don't want to do it at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a proponent of people having guns. I mean, I'm not against anybody having guns now. I think what you may have people say that, hey, the type of guns that people getting, do we really need people walking around with semi weapons and whatnot? I mean, that's the big issue, I think, right now. Quad, go ahead and speak on it. Unmute your mic.
What's up, Toter? What's up, everybody?
What's going on, man?
Not much. Same old. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in real quick. Quick before I say what I have to say, I just want to go talk about that last statement. When it comes to the type of guns that are the type of guns that we have access to, I don't think it matters whether they're assault rifles or regular 9mm handguns. I think people will commit mass shootings regardless of what type of rifle or handgun that they have access to. And as far as the shooter himself, I was shocked because when I first heard that there was a Tulsa shooting, I'm thinking it's going to be some suspected white supremacist trying to send a message on, the anniversary of the massacre of what took place. And then when I saw that it was a black gentleman, I was like, what in the world? So I have a question to that. Maybe one of you guys can answer. I don't know the details of the gunman. Like, I don't know what his ethnicity. I don't even know his name, honestly. I just saw a picture and read a little bit, and then I just kept it moving. I'll end there.
I'm gonna let you. Go ahead, DJ.
I just want to say, just to answer off Quad did. What's up, everybody? Reparations up. So just to clarify what Quad did just asked, I do believe this brother is a Black American. His name is Michael Lewis. You know what I mean? So that right there, not to say that's solely, Michael or Lewis is a Black American, but name-wise, first or last, but so far that's what it seems like, and being that they down there in Tulsa, Oklahoma, most likely 9 times out of 10, he an American Negro. Go ahead, though.
Go ahead, Ray.
I just wanted to correct something that the brother just said. The term assault weapons, we got to get that out of our mind. That's a made-up term. It really is. I'm going to give you guys a little quick history. It was created by the executive director of the Violence Policy Center, very anti-gun group. It was created back in 88, 89, I want to say. The man's name was Josh Sugarman. This man even publicly bragged about deliberately trying to confuse people about semi-automatic weapons that look like machine guns. And obviously they've been weaponizing that term ever since.
What's crazy about it, man, is that it's like we can't even catch our breath as a people, as a country, as whatever, man. We just had this horrible thing in Buffalo. Then when you think it can't get any worse, you have a bunch of kids getting gunned down. And now you have this dude here, and he just starts, and it wasn't to the point of, I guess you could say it wasn't as bad because as many people didn't lose their lives. But then here he comes. And then, when people see this, we live in the era of copycats with the internet and with TV and stuff like that. You have to be fearful because then, it's another fool that just saw this today and like, okay, now here's my goal. Now let me go ahead and add to it. Go ahead, Ray.
One thing you guys are always going to hear me say, I've said it time and time again, making good people helpless is never going to make bad people harmless. We know there's crazy people out here. And let's just say tomorrow they say, you know what? No one can have ARs. The criminals aren't going to turn their shit in. So at the end of the day, we're only putting ourselves at a disadvantage in a live or die situation.
Not only that, man, but we have more guns in this country than we have people. We have over 400 some odd million guns. I heard is a number. So
yes.
we have more guns than we have people, and we're the biggest manufacturer of guns in the world by a large margin. We're never going to be a gunless society. So exactly. we can get that out of our mind.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just going to add to that. There's 400 million guns and over 1 trillion rounds of ammo. If the gun owners were the real problem, trust me, you would know it.
Oh, definitely, I agree. And I mean, like I say, we sell weapons. We can talk about all the dictators in the world. We can talk about all of these horrible governments and this and that, but we supply them with weapons. So there's no way on earth are we gonna go. We're gonna have the best weapons that money can buy. That's the way it is. And like you say, if they had just a damn revolver, you're gonna have people out there shooting people. It is what it is, man. I don't know what you can really do about it. Like you say, you can't get to the point where people don't have guns. I mean, that's just a basic way of defending is what this country was built on. They're gonna keep them. In your opinion, Ray, let me ask you this here, because you're a sensible person. You also, because I come from a military family, I didn't serve in the military. You were in the service yourself. I know. So, in your personal opinion, what do you think we can do? And before I ask Ray this, everybody go ahead and please tweet out the space so we can get it a little bit thick in there. So y'all go ahead, if y'all can, go ahead and tweet out the space. Our spaces generally always pick up steam over time, but let's go ahead and see if we can get more people in here right now. But Ray, is there any law, any legislation you think that we can go and that would help reduce the number of mass shootings? Anybody in here, also not just Ray, anybody in the space thinks that there's anything that we can do specifically, lawfully? Because before this space even opened up, I saw Joe Biden having a press conference talking about the mass shootings. Is there anything that we can do as a country by putting pen to paper that could reduce, minimize, possibly even stop the number of mass shootings that we see that seem to just be picking up like every day?
I'm sorry. You're asking, is there anything I think that can be done to help stop it?
Yeah, stop it, minimize it. I mean, anything. Have it decrease.
Well, in my opinion, this is the thing. How can you really do that? You really can't. Because these mass shooters, what they're doing is they're using the element of surprise. So with me, common sense, the only thing common sense dictates is to do your best to be ready and try to take down this threat. So the only thing that a person with a gun that's going to kill a lot of people respects is another person with a gun. That's just it. You can't, you know what I'm saying? I forget what the senator's name was that was advocating for us to have whistles. That said, if you see someone with a gun, you need to blow a whistle so they'll get scared and run. It's the stupidest logic that I've ever heard in my life. If someone's trying to kill me, I'm going to kill them first. That's just common sense.
And here's the thing. I know people say, well, maybe you should do a more thorough mental evaluation of people before they come and get the guns. And my only thing is that if you start doing that, then you're definitely going to be discriminating against who you think should have a gun and who will get a gun. So if you start saying,
I just want to add this too to that. They don't add, what they don't talk about is when they talk about these expanded background checks and all this other stuff, the only way that they can properly enforce it is to get a national registry of all the guns. There's no other way that they can do that. And the problem with that is obviously how many governments have taken that and completely abused it. Like in Canada right now, I think just yesterday, Canada just said, you know what, no more handguns. They just did ARs, I want to say 2 years ago. It's a slow progression. These people are smart enough to understand that people don't like change rapidly. So what they do is it's a slow process. It was the same thing with gas. I remember when gas hit $2. I thought that was the worst thing. Now look at it. It's steadily going up. it's a slow process. It's a slow grind because they don't want people to really catch on to what they're doing and revolt.
Go ahead, DJ, and then Quad, you go ahead and chime in.
No, go ahead, Quad. I'll chime in last. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, real quick. Toter, you was talking about mental checks and extended backgrounds. I will point to Greenland or Iceland. I forget which country. I think one of those two countries has just as many guns as we do, but they have very good and thorough background checks to the point where there's hardly it's rare for to have a mass shooting. But I would also want to point out with that is that Greenland, Iceland, most of those demographics of those people are the same. So I don't know how much of that also plays a factor. I'm in there.
Go ahead, Ray. I'm sorry. Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, with that being said, I understand what you're saying too, Quad. You're going to have to find out that, get the data on that, you know what I mean? And run it back on the next Tata space, you feel me? So with that being said, to reiterate what Ray was saying, there's no way in hell you're going to scoop 400 million guns off the street. And even if you had a national registry, what would that even mean? Or if you had stricter background checks, what would that even mean? A gun is just one weapon. You got people out here still carrying Crocodile Dundee knives in their pocket, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm hearing reports of people getting stabbed left and right across the country. You know what I mean? Jokers getting strong arm. You don't need no weapon for that. That's your fist. That's a weapon right there. That's why I tell my little cousins and them better learn how to box and do martial arts, because you could disarm a motherfucker, rather it be from a gun or a knife. You know what I'm saying? Beat their ass with their own weapon. That happens a lot. That too. You know what I mean? But to try to sit up here and say, hey, look, what can we do? I think Ray's right. There's nothing we can do. One, why we don't own any gun manufacturing shops. We don't own any bullet manufacturing shops. We don't even own any of the Walmart gun Bass Pro Shop resale shops to resell these Remingtons and, you know what I mean, these Glocks and all this other stuff. We don't own none of these places. So it's not much we could do as black folk until we maybe start producing some gun manufacturers and supporting them and buying strictly from them, so we know where at least our guns are coming from. I'll land there.
Made a great point, Dan. Quadra, I want to get back to what you said. What did you say about
the gun registry and having does it play out by race or whatever? But go ahead, Quadra. You got the mic.
Yeah, go ahead, Quadra.
Yeah. Totally. You don't want to talk about that?
You said a point that I was trying to remember. Sometimes something comes in your head, and I was just about to say it.
Yeah, I'm trying to help jog your memory.
Just reiterate it.
Yeah, I'm gonna reiterate it real quick. Now I want to add on to what DJ said. So basically, what I said was that Greenland or Iceland, one of the two countries, they do a very thorough mental evaluation of everybody who wants to buy a gun before they want to buy a gun. They make them go through training, and then every so often they make them retrain and all this other stuff, and therefore their mass shooting rates are lower. And I was saying that I don't know how much of that low mass shooting rate is an effect of that everybody being of the same ethnicity.
I think it definitely plays a part in it. Because you're less likely to kill somebody that you have something in common with. So I'm sure that definitely plays a part in it. I think it was something Ray said. He was saying that Canada took handguns and then they took the AKs. Ray, go ahead and I can't remember if it was you or Quadra that said that, but go ahead, Ray.
Wait, hold on, Total. Before we go on, I just wanted to add on to something to what DJ said. He was saying it's almost. And Ray, they were saying that it's almost impossible to take all the guns off the streets. We're the largest manufacturer of guns. But I also want to add, even if we stop manufacturing guns, how many of these guns come from Russia and all these other places?
Oh yeah, you make a good point, but we're the biggest manufacturer of weapons in the world by a large margin. But you're right. We get Russia. They're probably a distant second. I don't know what China is now, but Russia was always a big time manufacturer of weapons as well too. But the U.S. it's the reason we spend trillions of dollars in our budget. It's so much of our budget that we probably don't even put out there publicly, letting people know how much we spend on defense. Because we want to make sure if anything jumps off that we got you. So the U.S. is never, like I said, they're going to always be the biggest manufacturer as long as they can, because you can talk about the debt that the U.S. has and this and that, but who's man enough to come over here and take it? If the U.S. just says, I'm going to stiff everybody and not pay you, of course it will hurt your economy and it will probably crash and stuff, but you're not stupid enough to come over here and actually try to take it and do something about it. Go ahead, Ray.
No, I just want to. You mentioned something about something I said. Yes, Canada. I believe it was yesterday. Said, you know what? No more handguns. And this is the same country that banned knives because they were having mass stabbings. And I just want everyone to see that it's never going to stop. It's one thing, and then once they get that, they move on to the next thing. And they're so good at getting people to convince you to give up your rights because they do it through emotion. Because obviously when these tragedy happens, people just want the pain to go away. So they do emotional things that in the long run hurt us.
Absolutely. Claudia, go ahead and add on if you can.
Yeah, I want to add on to what Ray said. Yeah, I don't think it'll ever stop. I mean, you get rid of guns, they're going to use knives. You get rid of knives, I don't know, they probably go back to using sticks and rocks and slingshots. I mean, even halfway across the world in some other countries, they do raids on people's villages. They'll use sticks and stuff. So, yeah, I don't think it'll never stop. People are always going to find a way to just mass murder.
My thing is this, like, you always hear the older people say it, even growing up, and maybe I missed it because it doesn't seem like I don't, and maybe we just didn't have the kind of coverage we have now with phones and the internet, and we're in a digital age and whatnot, but it didn't seem like you had like every other week or every month that you had, I grew up in the 90s, whatever. It didn't seem like every other damn month you had somebody just mass murders just taking place the way they do now. And maybe they did. It was just underreported. They just didn't want to put it out there like it is now. But man, it's something else. Also, I remember growing up, and I don't know if this stat is still true. They said it was more people that used to die from stabbings than actual gunshots. And I don't know if that's still true or not. But Ray, you can go ahead and speak.
No, I was just gonna say, I wanted to. This just hit me too. These people, Joe Biden, Justin Trudeau, I believe that's the prime minister, but that might be wrong, his title, so don't quote me on that. But these high-ranking people that are trying to tell us to give up our rights are walking around with armed security.
Very true. The best armed security in the world at that. So you're right. And that's another thing that people always say too, that one reason that you never want to totally give up your weapons, because people fear that you would have almost and we do live in a police state anyways, but that you would just be totally under the control of the government. I guess it just keeps you from being actually just dominated totally 100% by the government by having your own weapons and whatnot. Because let's be for real, the people here, we outnumber the government. You can talk about all of the soldiers in the army and this and that, but there's way more civilians out here with weapons than you even have people in the military. Now, that's not to say that we have the kind of equipment that they have, because they have top of the line stuff. But you talk about millions of people out here in the real world that have actually weapons and stuff like that. That you could have every branch of the armed force and the reserves, and they would be drastically outnumbered by the amount of civilians that actually have weapons. I think DJ, you were next. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Ray. I'm going to try to bring somebody up through the telephone real quick, Tyler. But go ahead, Ray, real quick.
I was just going to also point out, people always say, they don't think that ordinary citizens can fight off the government if it, decides to become just batshit tyrannical. But we literally live in a country whose independence was won by ordinary citizens taking their guns and fighting off a tyrannical government. To me, it's just the most illogical thing when I hear people say these things. We live in a country that enshrines our ability to check our government and protect ourselves to a degree that, honestly, there's not a lot of other countries in the world that affords its citizens. Yet here we are, along with countless others in this country that are doing their best to welcome oppression because they don't want to handle the responsibility of freedom.
I totally agree. Like you said, you basically had a bunch of people in this country that got pissed under being under British rule. That say, hey, And at that time, Great Britain was the greatest military power in the world, and they got beat. Also, I mean, if we want to, and I know they weren't Americans. If you want to look at the Haitians, like we were speaking about them the other night, the Haitians were a bunch of slaves, and I'm like, hey, we done had enough of this, and they beat the crap out of the damn Spain and France. So you're right. Go ahead, DJ. I don't know if you just got your hand up or.
Yeah, hey, appreciate you, Todd. Yeah, I want to bring my cousin up, a good family member. You know what I mean? One of my elder cousins, Rock up. We want to talk about the gun situation. Go ahead, cuz, if you could speak.
Yeah, I want to say good evening, fellas. You know what I'm saying? Let me ask y'all a question. It's just a question, man, to bring to y'all to what y'all discussion. Do y'all, in any such way, because to me personally, for myself, I think in some ways it is. Do y'all in any such way believe that some of these people that's having these mass shootings is a cell?
You know, I remember years ago, and Ray, I'm gonna let you get because I know you got your hand up. I remember years ago, people were saying that they believe that some of this stuff could be staged. I remember even, and you know, it was a big lawsuit when they had too. I know they was talking about the thing in Sandy Hook that was staged, and that that Sandy Hook didn't have any internet access, and that they were basically paid actors and this and that. I can't. I wouldn't say that unless I just had just concrete proof. I wouldn't say that myself. I definitely don't think. I mean, some of the stuff we've seen, I don't know if you can explain it, but I definitely wouldn't say that I believe it's staged. But you're gonna always have a certain segment of the population that that will believe that. So I'm not entirely sure. Ray, you can comment on this. I know you got your hand up. You can comment on this as well.
I just want to comment on what you just said. I would really, really hope the Democrats or anyone else will stoop that low to sit around and fake mass shootings and go through these crisis scenarios in order to push gun control. And another thing, too, you mentioned the Haitian Revolution. It wasn't just, obviously the Haitian Revolution. We also had, the American Revolution, Vietnam, Afghanistan, etc. These are just some examples that show that citizens have been fighting against governments for centuries. And just because some of these other people, they don't have the heart to fight, doesn't mean that they should get to take away. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. Just because they don't have the heart to fight, doesn't mean that they should take away the means to fight for everyone else who does.
Right. So hold up a minute. With that being said, right there, Ray, that's another reason why the whole Ukrainian situation is kind of weird to us as black folk, because if you look up the Budapest Accord, that was an agreement with those people over there in Europe that Ukraine wouldn't be a part of NATO, Russia wouldn't attack them. Obviously that accord lasted for how long it lasted. But why is it that Ukraine, it seems like, along with our government and maybe some other governments, is trying to break that accord? Because with Putin is always saying that U.S. and certain other countries, y'all creeping too close to my border, man. You know what I'm saying? By way of Ukraine. And then Biden sending all this money over there, and then all this weaponry that he's giving them. You feel what I'm saying? And then obviously they still trying to be a part of NATO. But that's just my input. But go ahead again, cuz. Go ahead, Rock.
Well, I'm going to say stage, not necessarily stage, because stage it takes more properties of work to do stage. What I'm talking about is I develop this person, utilize this person, because they just come out of nowhere. We really don't know these people who even be doing this. They come up with a story about them and what they've been going through, all this, that, and the third, but we don't get a real detailed image on who these people are. They just come out of nowhere, did this mass shooting, and then they tell us about some of the stuff they went through in school. They was bullied, they was this, they was that. But at the end of the day, we don't really know where they come from. It's like, for instance, we can take Obama for instance. We really don't know that much about Obama. He just came out of left wing, out of nowhere,
right?
Black man.
Hey, cuz, hold on a second though. Hold on a second, cuz. So that's you're saying something actually accurate, because the Buffalo shooter, the Peyton Gagnon dude, he's only a first generation immigrant. You see what I'm saying? So what country did this man come from? And like you said, what was he trained to do this? You know what I'm saying? Or was raised to hate black people? Then eventually, when the time is right to go commit a mass shooting on black people. Go ahead, though. Go ahead.
So, let's take in the dialogue of in the Muslim over in Iraq and everything, in the dialogue of them, they take children, young boys, from a young age, and raise them to believe when he died, he's going to have 70 virgins on the other side. God, Allah going to love him, and he's going to be okay. As long as he do the will of what they're asking him to do. And they trained this little kid since he was nothing. Since he was in the womb, soon he popped out of that womb, they've been training this little kid to live this life and be this way. And that's all you know. And you know your purpose is this purpose.
Right. So hold up. So with that being said, too, because I know you've been living out of state for a while, even though you're born and raised here in Jersey. The 9/11 Sheikh, the so-called 9/11 Sheikh mastermind, the blonde Sheikh, he was living right here in Maplewood, New Jersey, right amongst us. You feel what I'm saying? And a lot of his family members, we went to school with these kids. You feel what I'm saying? And which is his grandsons or the nephews or whatever it might have been to him. You know what I mean? They was all cool with us as far as the black folks, but they couldn't stand them white folks. But they didn't care as far as who was going to be in them towers that day of 9/11. Black or white, everybody got to get it. So you could be right as well. And then don't forget when they had that riot up in Boston, when that Boston bomber had attacked the race people. When they was going out there to protest or whatever one day, the next day to protest terrorism, they had like construction material just like laying around the downtown area. It's like a pallet of bricks over here. It's like some nails and shit over here. Shit that you could hurt some. A couple of lead iron pipes. Some what do they call them type of pipes? Cause the steel tie rods you put with the concrete. You know what I mean? Just a rebar. Just iron rods or rebar just laying around. So when the shit jump off, they said the same thing a couple years back too with the I forgot what was the situation that happened in Texas, but it was like they was protesting out there for something that happened, and then all of a sudden jokers just start shooting. So you had one person filming from the top of a hotel looking at somebody shooting at the police. And they was trying to say that it was a black man that was walking around with his AR. But they pulled over the same black man and kind of found out he was somewhere totally else. So who the hell was shooting at you cops? Was it one of your own people's police, boys in blue, that was shooting at you? Or was it just some stage sale motherfucker to get this shit jumped off to have a race war? Well, go ahead, cuz.
Well, they proved the fact that, in something like when I can't think of his name right now. The guy that got choked out by the cop.
Eric Garner?
No, the one that just passed.
What you call it? George Floyd. Yeah. George Floyd.
They proved in some of the marching events that they had still, they had action. See, y'all understand. I don't know if y'all ever look up the CIA and know the real purpose of the CIA and everything. You gotta understand the CIA is not even a real law enforcement. I need y'all, and when you get a chance to research on the CIA, they're not a real law enforcement group. You know what I'm saying? They're part of the actual acting industry too. That's why they're okay to use them so much in movies that they talk about them a lot.
Right. Well, we'll say one thing on that though, cause that a lot of these white folks, and this is why we try and tell us brothers and sisters to start listening to a lot of these white jokers and they little YouTubes or whatever they doing, because they be pointing this shit out. These crisis actors, man. Look, this joker been in this movie and was in this commercial. He was in this newscast as a victim of violence, but he turned around, he was in another newscast reporting this, some other shit. So that dude.
Hey, DJ.
I'm gonna let Mr. Zell come up. Hold up.
Hold on 1 second. We're gonna let TS come up, and I know TS, me and you, we kind of gone back and forth like on Twitter sometimes. So let's just go ahead and let's be respectful to the space and whatnot, and go ahead and unmute your mic. But let's be respectful to the space.
Good evening. It's the legendary TS Giselle. So, I've never been in your spaces, but I know, we've had our encounters. But I thought the title of the room was really interesting. And I know that within FBA, which of course I don't affiliate with FBA anymore, everyone knows that. But there's just been a lot of, you know, spaces dedicated to shootings regarding white supremacy. But for me, which is fair, of course, we should talk about what happened in Buffalo. I don't know all of the information regarding Tulsa because, you know, news can be sensationalized and just overwhelming for me. So I have to protect my mental health. But while we've had all this conversation, what FBA has not discussed is the violence and the devastating and devastation that gun violence actually causes in Black America amongst Black people. Um, we, you know, make up 12, 13% of the US population, more depending on who you ask, but we account for 60% of deaths by gun violence firearm in the country. So 5 times as much as our population. Why is FBA, which is supposed to be this progressive movement for Black Americans, why are we not addressing the gun violence crisis that our community has?
Well, I'm gonna let you.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Any space. I've never heard any FBA B1 space address this issue, and it is a crucial issue. In particular, post-pandemic, of course, we know that crime is up across the country, but in our Black neighborhoods, whether you live in the city or in a rural town, gun violence is up dramatically in Black American communities, and it's very devastating. The leading cause of death for Black men, 15 to 24, is through firearm. And no one wants to talk about that. I understand the purpose of reparations, which could solve a lot of this because we know that in many of these areas it's due to systemic racism and, you know, economics. But why is no one talking about that? We want to sensationalize the Buffalo shooter, but let's keep it 100. More Black people kill Black people than other ethnicities. And it's like there's no accountability from heterosexual Black men. And so it's
there we go. I knew it was
very passionate. It's something that's very passionate for me. And since we're talking about violence in America as Black Americans, as Black people, let's talk about it.
May I ask where you're getting those stats from that you're reading off?
Do not get that argument.
I was asked the same thing.
You need to be able to provide alternative stats that disprove. But this information is readily available on Google, sir. So you can Google gun violence in Black America, and the information is very consistent.
But where exactly are you getting it from? Just on Google, like what site specifically?
I don't know what your level of education is, sir, but I have multiple degrees, and I know.
No, hold on, Mr. It's just a simple question. It's just a simple question.
No. I don't have a problem asking her a question. I have a degree. I graduated from the University of Maryland, University College, top of my class after 5 deployments. You're not talking to someone that's stupid. So go ahead. That is just from my level of education. And right now, I am currently in school to get a degree in history.
Well, I don't know if you're truly educated as a Black man if you attended a predominantly white.
Hold on, let's not play on people's education or work ethic history. It's just a simple question, Mr. Zell. Where specifically did you get it from? The FBI website, CIA, Homeland Security, WhiteHouse.gov, CDC? Where specifically did this information on black crime, gun violence specifically that you're talking about came from? And we also addressing that too. You might have came up too late in the comments. You know, it ain't just about the Tulsa shooting, which was unfortunately a Black male that did this shooting. So we are talking about the violence. Go ahead, Todd.
And not to cut you off, DJ. We talked about the Buffalo shooting, and we talked tonight about this Black man going out here committing a stupid crime. And if you watch, and if you see any of Newstoter posts, I talked about a senseless crime where you had an elderly woman shot outside of a graduation. And we do understand that there is an issue of violence in the Black community. There's an issue of violence in every community. There's an issue with violence. Most white people that are murdered in this country, 80 to 85% of them at least are murdered by white people. Same with Hispanics, same with Asians. And historically, are you telling me that black people have committed more crime, more violence, more everything than white people who took an entire continent, an entire hemisphere and stole it and plundered and put people in chains and whatnot?
Straw man argument.
No, that's not a straw man argument. No, it's not, because let's be for real. The people that are up here bringing all these guns into America are white. The people that manufacture these guns are white.
I reference lack of self-accountability for black heterosexual men. That's what you're doing.
And you have a major hatred with black heterosexual men.
That's a lie.
No, it's not a lie. I've heard it's not a lie.
I have a high expectation for the men of my culture.
Listen, TS. Every little BS right that we have in this country is because of black heterosexual men. Okay, let's be honest. Every right that we have, and it might not be a whole lot, every right that we have in this country are because of black heterosexual men that gave their lives for you, for me, and every black person in this space. So let's not sit here. It was not transgender men or women. It was not LGBTQ men or women that gave their lives the way that heterosexual black men gave their lives. Let's be for real here now. Let's be honest. If we're gonna bring, like Tariq say, truth to power, let's be honest here. It was heterosexual men. Martin Luther King got his head blown off. Malcolm X got his head blown off. Elijah Muhammad, Medgar Evers. I mean, let's be for real. Booker T. Washington, Frederick Douglass. These were not transgender men. These were black heterosexual men. And even when you had a black LGBTQ man like James Baldwin, he didn't sit up there and drag black heterosexual men under the bus. He understood the world that we were living in. He understood white supremacy. And you're right, there does need to be more accountability from our own people, because we're the only ones that's going to better ourselves. I will give you that. And we're not sitting up here justifying this. This person was a piece of shit that did this. And too bad that this coward went ahead and pulled a gun on himself. He was a coward. And we have a lot of cowards in the black community. But not every black man is a predator. So, no, I'm not going to sit up here and just let you. I know, like I said, I know me and you, we go at it before, and I knew I was just waiting for you to go into it. But that's not even the case. Okay? Black men are not the biggest predators in the history of this country. I don't give a damn what anybody say.
That's not what I said. But even there, it was difficult for you to take accountability for the gun violence that is perpetuated by black males in our community. That's what I'm talking about. Of course, I know the prominent figures in our history, but we also know that black homosexuals are suppressed in pro-black movements, including FBA. So we know that.
LGBTQ.
But that's not why we're here.
Hold on. LGBTQ benefited off of the civil rights movement. Are you serious?
Not why we're here. We're here to discuss accountability.
Okay, but you're sitting up here, you're telling me that heterosexual men we're basically holding LGBTQ and trans people back, is what you're trying to also imply.
Exactly. Like you said, they use the civil rights laws to get what they have now.
That's absolutely true, but that's not what we're discussing tonight. That's another conversation.
Y'all see what that? You saw her backing her to the corner. Now she wants to move. She just wants to move the needle.
I sent back to her corner. Intellectually, you cannot see me or have a seat at the same table as I.
You can't even tell us where you got the stats from. You talking about Google?
As I was stating, being having multiple degrees, 3. If you want to know the exact number, of course, when I do research,
you can have all the.
Hey, Miss Giselle, hold on, cuz, hold on a minute. Even my cousin on the other end of the phone, Miss Giselle, is asking you, where's the stats at? You know what I'm saying? Somebody that's not even in this chat, but just listen. Yeah, go ahead, cuz. Go ahead for a second.
Wait, let me say something first. One thing we do with Newstoter, we source up around here. So one thing we do over here, we source up. So if you got the stats, be kind enough to just
have the information. I'll put it in the Jumbotron, but this information is readily available.
Hey, I got info from the CDC. It says the number one cause of death for black males in America is 1, heart disease, 2, cancer, 3 unintentional injuries, 4 homicide, 5 stroke, 6 diabetes, 7 chronic something, 8 kidney disease, and then all the way down to 10 is hypertension. All right. So let's look at the facts of the homicide. It says race of victim. That was from the CDC. Now I'm going to the. Now I'm on the FBI site.
But
race of victim white. The number.
Didn't address what I stated.
Race of victim was white. Let me just go through the thing. Race of victim was white. A number of white people that attacked other white people based off the 2016.
One second, Quad. One second, Quad.
My statement was 14 to 24-year-olds. That's what I stated. Which is our youth, our young black brothers, my nephew, your nephew. These boys are robbing, shooting all across the country. And we need black men, black role models, and black women, everyone to step it up in the community because it's out of control across the country. And I dare you to challenge me that.
But my question is, what do you expect us to do about these hood dudes? These hood dudes are going to do whatever they do.
Let's keep a little bit of order. I know this is a sensitive subject. So, TS, you just went. We're going to let Ray respond. Then we're going to let Quad respond. And then you can, if somebody else comes, you can respond again. But let's try to keep it. I know everybody's kind of getting a little emotional now. So, because I did myself. So let's go ahead and try to Ray, Quad, then TS.
I'm a firm believer. You honestly got good black people, then you got niggas. There's nothing we can do about them. Let's just be honest. You can mentor them all you want. Their mindset is what's wrong. There's nothing we can do about that. And that's what I'm trying to get her to understand. Talk about holding them like myself. Like I said, I've deployed. I have a wife. I have 3 kids. I work. I'm honest. I do everything the right way. But what can I do about this dude that's down in the hood that, there's nothing I can do about him. I can't change his mindset.
Absolutely. Quad, go ahead. And you go ahead and speak on it.
Yeah, I think to have us be in that status of us being perfect, I think that's ridiculous and unrealistic. No group in the world has a perfect status, if you will. Like no group in the world doesn't have homicides. And 2, even let's say the perfect Joe Schmoes in our community or any community, they could have the perfect life, had never done anything. Something they probably felt bad on hard times one time, didn't know how to handle it, and just went off on something or somebody. It's like, what do you expect people to do? Now, my solution for the young kids is, provide them opportunities, get somebody, let them have programs where they could go in and let them express themselves and just do things. But all I hear you do is complain and cry with you never offer any solutions.
Okay, TS, unmute your mic.
Who doesn't offer solutions? Me? Because I know you're not talking about the TS. Okay. The community service. And let me be very clear. Being that I am an HBCU graduate, where it's instilled in us to take care of the youth, community services was a massive requirement, a graduation requirement. Mentorship is something that I absolutely believe in. But I'll be honest with you, I don't mentor the youth anymore, at least not quote unquote heterosexual youth, because of the backlash and pushback that I got from the mothers who were clearly uncomfortable. But that's another story for another day. But that's absolutely not true. And
Ray, I'm gonna let you get in, but okay. Besides mentoring, since you brought up the abundance of crime and the deaths and the shootings and this and that with black, and it seems like let me ask you, are black LGBTQ kids and black trans kids, are they also part of this problem too? Or is it just black heterosexual kids?
So, I don't know those specific statistics in terms of how a person identifies, but we certainly do in the Black LGBT community do have an issue as well with violence at the youth. Yes, it's something that's why I said it's really at the core. It's just devastating, regardless. Um, I'll see if I can find that research. Of course, that's something going to be difficult because who's going to go ask a 15-year-old how do you identify?
But and are you trying to mentor these trans kids and LGBTQ kids and keep them from being violent and hurting other people?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm definitely active in my city. We do have a youth trans group and a youth LGBT group. I do mentorship there. I know, like for gay Black people, I know that Black people like to say that we're at the bottom of the barrel, but beneath heterosexual Black people are gay Black people, and then beneath gay Black people are trans Black people. So absolutely, it's a passion that I have.
Okay, I know you guys have your hands up. DJ and Ray and Quad. Quad, you go ahead. DJ, you go ahead first, and then Quad and Ray.
Yeah, let the fellas go first. Go ahead, Quad, Ray, and then y'all can. I'll go last. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, Giselle, you said most of the crime is being committed with the youth between some ages. Where did you get that stat from?
That's not what I said. I said the leading cause of death for 14 to 24-year-olds is death by firearm.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that age group. That's basically what I'm asking. I said, where did you get that stat from?
I will post the receipt in the Jumbotron.
Well, yeah, please post that in the Jumbotron so we can see that as well.
But I just wanted to say to T.S. Giselle, if you are doing what you say you are, I applaud you. Because the thing is, I'll say this. The youth that you're mentoring, as I was saying, you're getting to them before their mind gets too corrupted. And that's a very good thing. So I actually applaud you on that.
Yeah, so my degrees are in STEM, and so that is what we really promote. A lot of children that maybe are not from a lesser, economic background, because I had the privilege of growing up in a more middle class home. A lot of times, our Black youth may feel that the only way for them to escape is through athletics and not academia. So being a person that has a STEM degree, there's so many opportunities available out there. This is why I don't, I'm not going to be mad at African immigrants, because African immigrants come to America and take advantage of STEM. And it's something that I would love to see more in the Black American community, but pushing academia, tutoring, giving access, coding, there's just so many opportunities available there. So that's what I really advocate for.
All right, DJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Miss Giselle, that it's black on black crime, and it's crime on crime in every culture. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, that wasn't the topic of the show. It's about this particular one Black culprit. You know what I'm saying? Committing a crime. You know what I'm saying? The average Black person is just not out here shooting up Black people just as well as the average white person just ain't randomly coming out here shooting white people. The demographics and the numbers you're talking about are small, but unfortunately it looks big on our scale because what the white news media do, they constantly promoting Black violence. That's all you see across anything, television, hip hop, this, that, and the third. We also had a conversation about these sleeper cells, whereas a white cop might kill somebody Black, and then we about to go out and protest the next day or whatever the case be, and then all of a sudden you just happen to see weapons. Hold on a second. You just happen to see weapons of chaos just laying around, bricks, iron rods, all types of shit. So we know it's crime on crime in every culture, but the argument is these mass shootings across the American culture, because we are American, even though we just happen to be Black. So when Ray asked you where's these statistics coming from, you're worried about your educational background. I got 4 degrees on the wall right now. And if Ray would have asked me, hey, where'd you get the musical stats from? Oh, yeah, it came from this site, Ray, that site, and it came from this place. That's all he asked you. You just went off the rails. But go ahead, though.
I did it go off the rails. It's just my debate style. But you reference, violence in white communities. Black men or black boys, 14 to 24, according to the statistic, are 22 times more likely to be murdered by firearm. We cannot continue to ignore that number. And when a shooting that happens where it involves a white person, even a white police officer, is sensationalized. And I get it. Absolutely, we should talk about it. But it's as if we cannot admit, no one in this room has said tonight that we have a gun violence issue in Black America. No one. It's been defensive. It's where did you get your stats from? Well, white people kill white people.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last stat?
Yeah, but that's a fair question to ask.
We have a gun violence issue in this entire country.
We do. Americans are violent, absolutely. But I'm black. And so my first agenda is black. This is B1, right? So that's my first agenda. So what happens as a whole, it matters to me because I'm an American citizen, but I'm worried about my people. When I purchased my home, it was sad that I literally was searching on the internet for school districts and what their ratings were and what the demographics were and whether there were basketball courts because I didn't want to be around the foolishness that we see. That's sad that as a black person, I purposely moved to a community to essentially almost escape my own people. That's sad. And I will admit that. But challenging the stats instead of why not actually look at the reports and the numbers instead of challenging are the numbers real? Of course they're real. Turn on the local news.
But ma'am, how can we challenge it if you won't even tell us what they are?
This because this information is readily available. It doesn't matter where you get the source from. It's readily available. But turn on the local news where you stay. 80% of the victims of gun violence are going to be black men. Tell me that's not true. Tell me that's not true.
Yeah, but we're not saying that is not true. Unfortunately,
one quick question. Hold on. Let me ask one quick question. Wait, let me ask one quick question. With your stats and whatnot, tell me, TS, who is a leading perpetuator of mass shootings in this country? Is it black men or is it white men? Or is it Hispanic or is it Asians? What do your stats tell you about that? Who commits the most?
The answer to that question, but I'll definitely research it.
Okay.
But this is my thing. I just want to add this. I believe it was Brother Qatar. He mentioned the term assault weapons. I told him, I was like, brother, that's not what you think it is. And I explained that it was created by a man named Josh Sugarman. I'm giving receipts. I'm giving details. He was, I believe, the vice president of the Violence Prevention Center. I'm letting people know where we can find stuff. And everyone in here knows that I said this earlier. If you're going to say something, at least let us know where you're getting it from. Just saying, oh, it's readily available. You just have to look. You know how many different sites say different things? Some of these websites have agendas, like the Brady campaign. Everytown, they're gun control groups. They have an agenda. They don't want to have guns, and that's the problem with what I see with what you're saying. If you're going to say something, at least let us know where you're getting it from. Don't just throw out numbers and percentages.
I do utilize Everytown, but I am anti-gun. Let me make that very clear. I'm anti-gun. I'm an extreme progressive, meaning to me, not only do I support a full assault rifle stand, but I think that, just banning Americans from obtaining any type of weapon.
Okay. Now I want to ask you a question. Can you define what an assault weapon is?
Yeah, I don't know anything about guns. I just know that I'm sick of my black people being murdered by them.
So you want us to ban something that you don't even know what it is? You don't even know what it is?
I educate myself on guns. Absolutely not. I don't care to.
But you have all these degrees. You should be wanting to educate yourself.
What I know is in other developed countries that have strict gun laws, we don't see the type of shooting, deaths, and mass shootings. America is in line with third world countries in terms of gun violence, but when we compare America to Australia, to Canada, to the UK, to Germany, to France, to Japan, other rich, industrialized, developed nations, it's truly embarrassing And you do not see the gun violence in those countries because they have gun control. In particular, Australia and New Zealand are two countries that had mass shootings, and what followed those mass shootings, they um, developed strict gun control regulation, introduced new gun laws.
Okay, so may I say something to that really quick?
You don't see mass shootings in those countries.
May I say something? May I say something that really quick? If you really look, that you would know.
Hey, wait, let's finish.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't talk over you. Go ahead and finish your thought, please.
Maybe if you would have gotten your degree from Howard University, you would know that.
Mr. Zell, hold on a minute. Stop with the educational stuff. We're all degreed up in here. You know what I'm saying? Everybody at least got a high school diploma. 9 times out of 10, it's 2022. You don't have to mention your degrees, mama. No.
Also, TS, is it possible that if you can you turn your sound up a little bit? Or is that as high as it'll go?
May I go ahead and rebuttal to that, please?
I think that my volume is fine.
What she's not telling you guys is that Australia has always had low crime, and this was way before the ban on guns. And with over 16 million guns in the U.S., million guns, or 400 million, however much it was, can you please explain to me how our homicide rates have been falling since the 90s when we have more guns than we ever did? We have the most guns in the world. And by your logic, shouldn't we be leading the world in gun deaths? Yet we don't. So please stop with this Australia comparison nonsense because it's fraudulent. And for the record, hold on, let me finish this. And for the record, Australia, it wasn't voluntary, it was mandatory. They confiscated guns in Australia.
You're comparing the United States to other
countries. Hey, TS, can you let him finish?
Can you not interrupt me?
You're doing the same thing that you shouldn't say somebody else should do that you doing to other people, TS. So let the brother Ray finish and get his talking points like you want somebody to get your talking points. One person at a time. We got to respect each other. This is Todd's space. We're here to help him out. This is also being recorded, so let's not act niggerish. You feel what I'm saying? Go ahead, Ray.
Go ahead, Ray.
I'm sorry, I know my mic was off. So, and she mentioned London. It's extremely hard to own a gun in London. So which tool do you think the criminals are using to commit crimes? Knives. Now guess which tool London is trying to currently ban? Knives. And when they ban knives, the criminals start using hammers. What do you think they'll be trying to ban? Hammers. They're trying to ban the way to a utopia, even if it doesn't work, because sadly, for anti-gunners like TS, the virtue of gun control is more important to them than the actual real-world effectiveness. And as I was saying earlier, you can look it up right now. Canada just banned handguns.
I want to ask TS a question. Being part of the black media, what do you feel that we should be doing in terms of this? I guess that the violence you say that we have in the black community, and we know that there's violence in the black community. What do you think that we should be reporting? Do you think that that's all we should report? Because here in this space, and here anybody that follows Newstoter tell you that I try to give a wide variety of news issues, everything from politics to education, the lifestyle, the culture, the entertainment, even. So, what do you feel? Because I know you're saying that we're pretty much ignoring the issue that's happening in the black community. That we're not standing up. We're not talking about it enough. So, in your opinion, what do you feel that just say me, Newstoter, what should I do in terms of putting this out here more? Should should this just be all that I report is just the actual violence and this and that, or what? Just help me out here.
Absolutely not. Media, the source of news should be, of course, a multitude of issues. But I think it's a difficult question to answer because of how violence is a norm in this country. Americans are very violent people. Our country was founded off of violence. And so we're normalized to violence. It's in our movies, in our video games, in our music, you know. And so the coverage of violence isn't always, the impact is not what it should be. Even with Buffalo, I mean, that was a horrific, devastating crime. But in this country, I mean, it's normal because just 2 weeks later, a guy would murder 21 people, 19 who were children. So America is just a very violent society, and so because of that, violence is sensationalized in this country. So it makes it kind of difficult to report. So I acknowledge that. I hope I answered your question, but it's really a hard question to answer, though.
No, I just wanted to hear your perspective because, like I say, I know, and this space here tonight. Like I said, we try to cover a wide variety of issues, and normally when I do the space, and I felt this was important. I mean, a lot of people don't probably want to speak. They want at the Tulsa shooting. I knew it was a black man. I found out yesterday that the talk about it was probably a black person, and I was not happy about that. But I still wanted to address this issue, especially with the Tulsa race massacre and everything that's coming up and whatnot. So I wanted to go ahead and address this issue. It was heartbreaking that it was a black person that did it, but I felt that it needed to have its own space. I felt it might not be the most popular space to have either. There was other topics and other subjects that would have garnered more people in here. But I felt like, and that's one thing I do with spaces. It's not always about the amount of people that's going to be in here, but the kind of dialogue we can create, and also trying to find a common ground for everybody in here. Like I say, me and you, I know we've clashed at times online and whatnot, but I mean, in this space here, I try to give everybody equal opportunity to go ahead and speak. We try not to just hit and mute the buttons on everybody unless the situation is getting out of control. But you know what I'm saying? I feel some of what you're saying. I don't agree with everything you're saying because, like I say, I know and you know that this country was founded on violence, and the entire world is a violent world. There's not a place in this world you can go to that's not violent. And this country was founded.
I don't agree with that.
Where? Tell me where you can go at that the country was founded and it was not founded on violence. Tell me.
Violence happens everywhere. That's not realistic. But there are certainly countries in the world that don't have, a high level of violent crime. Of course,
but tell me which
progressive countries. Well, I look at the crime rates of Scandinavian countries, Finland.
And those countries are those countries you talk about those countries that were founded by the goddamn Vikings. Those countries that were looting people and stealing people and chopping their heads off, and yeah, they're all civilized now that they've stolen everything and they got their economies and everything structured. But those people are some of the most violent people the world's ever seen.
And so that brings I hate to say this, I'm not going to say what I want to say. I'll just let you have that. But I'm speaking in modern terms. I'm not saying that your statement is correct because it's not. Those were, of course, we know Europeans, the most awful people ever. But as Americans, we just try and justify, the bad. We celebrate the bad, and especially in Black American culture, we love to celebrate bad behavior in our culture. Just like even from the incident where Will Smith assaulted Chris Rock, that was horrible. You had Black people trying to defend that.
Hold on a second, right there. That shit was fake, sweetheart. You know what I'm saying? That was staged. Those are actors. This is what we were talking about earlier with the cell shit and these crisis actors. That ain't nothing but a distraction to throw us off about reparations and everything else that's going around. If that really upsets you more than what a black man getting killed in the street by another black man, then you ain't really got no conversation over here. That ain't nothing but a soap opera distraction. There's a reason why Hollywood is in our backyard. We got to learn the difference between what is real and what is fake. Because that same stage thing of Will Smith getting upset because he thought Chris Rock disrespected Jada, that was a movie made with the exact same scenario plot years before with different actors. We had that conversation already. Gotta stick to your talking points, Mr. Zell.
Sir, let's not use quack Q as non-talking points, please. Crisis act.
It's fake. Chris Rock had a slap mask on. I'm in the entertainment business, man. You feel what I'm saying? I've been around people that have done makeup and putting effects on people's faces. I've been taking classes on this shit. You feel me? I could show you actual evidence too based on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if she wants to go ahead and state that, I mean, that, that's fine or whatever. Like I say, there are a bunch of black people that didn't support Will's, whether you think it was fake or staged or not. There's a bunch of black people that did not support that at all. A bunch of black people called him out and said he was wrong. A bunch of black people that were comedians and stuff, and other actors and actresses called him out and said that was wrong. You had, with anything, you're gonna find people that's gonna agree with anything. But a lot of people say, well, hey, even if if it's just a joke, then you shouldn't have went ahead and did that. You shouldn't have done that or whatever. It was some white people that said he deserved to get slapped. So I mean, the whole thing is that we can't just. And it's one thing about us as black people. We can. There's no problem with stereotyping the entire race with us, but we can't do that with the other races. We can. Everybody can say, well, black people, they always this, they always that. But if you say this about a white person, they're always looked at as an individual and just one person. It's never the entire group that does something. But with us, one person screws up, and then it's all of us. So I thought Will Smith was wrong. I didn't think he should have went up there and slapped him. But that's just me. You may know 4 or 5 other people that think that he did the right thing. So I agree with you. We live in a violent society. We live in a violent country. We are made. We've always been made the face of violence and dysfunction in this country, even when we weren't. Because let's be for real, they can talk about the crime stats all they want to. And I know you said, well, this happened, that happened 200 some years ago, this and that. There were a time in the Wild Wild West and all these other places that white people were shooting out law enforcement people left and right. A lot of the Italian crime stuff that was dramatized. It was accepted. It was okay. Billy the Kid and all these other criminals and crooks, the Kennedys and their fortune and everything else. Everybody idolized it and praised it and this and that. But like I say, when it comes to us, it's like it's the end of the world. So I'll go ahead, TS, and I'll let you finish your point. But then we got Ray and we got Quad. They have their hands up. So go ahead and unmute your mic.
Can we go to the next speaker? My DoorDash arrived, so I'm sort of eating, and it's not very ladylike to eat.
Okay, well, Ray, Quad, let Quad go. Quadra, you go.
All right, yeah. TS posted something in the Doubletron, right? And it says 15 to 24 or 22 times more likely murdered by guns, whatever. 4 times more likely to be murdered by firearm, but it's not comparing. But I don't know what those numbers are comparing us to. I want to know that information because I'm on the FBI website based on 2016. Says I want to compare that whatever they're comparing to what is being shown on the FBI website. And so far, what I see, even if it's being compared to white people, it's not adding up at all. Also, another thing Tia said is that we don't, foundational black Americans don't go into STEM majors. I want to know why does she think that, because I know a lot of FBA that are in STEM. And I know
that part I don't know why she said, but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, News.
No, I was gonna say that part. I don't really know. I'm not in the educational system. We do need more young black people in the STEM program because
we're extremely underrepresented in STEM across. Whether it be in the healthcare professional degrees, physicians, dentists, engineering, and certainly African and Caribbeans are overrepresented in those fields. So you may see black people, but their background probably is not black American. We certainly see that at Ivy institutions. Again, I'm an HBCU graduate. Just for example, Howard School of Medicine, Howard School of Dentistry, Meharry, a significant amount of those students are African or Caribbean. We are certainly underrepresented in STEM, for sure.
I agree with you, we need more, but I don't think we're underrepresented. I just completely...
We're definitely... How can we not be underrepresented when we make up 13% of the population, but less than 2%?
I didn't finish. I was going to say, compared to the Africans and Caribbeans, based off of my experience on TV, based off my experience in the fields that I go through, I see there's more of us in the STEM fields than what than what we think. And you said you had a STEM degree. What is your STEM degree? What is your degree in?
Biology and chemistry.
Biology and chemistry. And what do you do with that now?
I'm not in the STEM field. I'm not a practicing scientist anymore. I work in healthcare. I work for a medical provider billing company, but I'm an account manager. But because I did attend the HBCU, all of my friends literally, and I was a science major, all of my friends literally are dentists, psychologists, physicians, engineers. My institution of higher learning. And I'm one producer of Black engineers in America.
Okay, so you have a biology degree and ended up in accounting.
Including the first Black American to space, the iconic Ronald McNair.
Wait, so you said you're in accounting, right?
No, I said I'm an account manager.
An account manager, so you're not an accountant. With a biology degree.
Yeah, I'm not a practicing scientist. You never know where life takes you. And after I completed college, I was able to venture into another career that lasted for over 10 years. But yeah. Next question.
Before we move on, let me just say that the Cash App is up. If you guys can contribute at least $1 to the Black Newstoter, our Cash App is $Newstoter. That's $Newstoter. If you have at least $1 that you'd like to donate to the New Black Media, we will be definitely internally grateful. That's $Newstoter. Cash App. The Cash App is $Newstoter. Ray, go ahead and speak.
I just wanted to try to get this back on track. It seemed like we kind of got a little bit off track. I just wanted to point out something to everyone that's listening. TS, some of the major talking points that she hasn't been able to defend. She's like, okay, we need to ban assault weapons. So the next simple question I asked, okay, so what is an assault weapon? Can you define it? All of a sudden, she can't even define it. She's saying that I believe it was either the Brady campaign or Everytown. She says that she supports these groups. But if you look, and this, family, I'll slow down so you guys can Google it yourself. These are funded, especially I believe it's Everytown is funded by an anti-gun billionaire named Michael Bloomberg. This man is on record saying that he doesn't want us to have any guns. But this is some of the people that she's following. So I just want everyone to see the mindset that she has when it comes to guns.
I acknowledge that I'm anti-gun, and I believe in a full ban on guns.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. So if they ban guns tomorrow, are you going door to door to confiscate the guns?
Well, in Australia...
No, I'm not asking about Australia. I don't live in Australia. If they decide they want to ban guns tomorrow, are you going to go door to door to confiscate?
That's not my job. That would be the job of the U.S. government. But
hold on. Let me ask you something. So that's the same government that the Second Amendment we're supposed to fight against. That's who you want to give the guns back to, and that makes sense to you?
If a major ban on whatever type of weapon occurs, then of course there will have to be some type of buyback program from the government. That is literally what Australia did. And so we should study that and mimic that in this country.
So you're for the gun buybacks?
Yes.
Have you did any research to just see how much that would cost?
This is the United States of America. Unlimitless money. Next question.
No, because I want to question you on that. Because it's going to cost.
There's nothing to question me on.
No, but that's because I've done the research on it. It's going to be it's going to be close to $1 billion. That will be the cost of a buyback. And hold on, let me say this, please. Let me say this. No, but let me say this. So that's over $9 billion, all right? Or $9 million, whatever. And that would be the cost. And that was if you paid $600 for each rifle. I know people that have paid between $3,000 to $5,000 for the rifle. And so do millions of others.
And what does a human need, a civilian need a $5,000 gun for?
Ma'am, let me ask you a question. Why did Rosa Parks need to sit in the front of the bus?
What you will not do is...
You do not have to show need in this country to exercise a...
Okay, everybody, let's kind of calm it down, and we're getting a little passionate about it. Ray, I'm going to go ahead and let you finish your line of question. If she doesn't want to speak on it, that's fine. We have a new person, Rock Stacks, that wants to speak to. So, Ray, I'm gonna go ahead and let you finish your line, and then we'll just go ahead to Rock Stacks, because if she doesn't want to speak on it, then we just go ahead and move on. I'm gonna unmute everybody's mic. Go ahead, Ray. Ray, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry. That's my thing. If I say something, I'm gonna back it up where I got it from. The thing she's saying, she's not backing it up. She can't even define what assault weapon is. She's trying to tell us that we need to show. Hold on, ma'am. Let me say this. She just said that we need to show a need to exercise a constitutional right. We need to show a need.
Devastate the human body. Why don't you tell that to the 19 parents whose children's body were mutilated by those weapons? You know what an assault rifle does to an adult human.
What is an assault rifle? What is an assault rifle?
I don't give a fuck. What I know.
No, you don't know. You can't get back on what you're talking about. That's my point.
I am sick of these weapons brutalizing our country. Period.
Okay. According to the FBI, assault rifles, as you call them, only make up between 1% to 2%.
All guns. And
and if they do that,
and in every mass shooting, the gun has been an assault rifle.
That is not true. That is not true. According to the FBI, 77% of these crimes that involve are handguns. They aren't assault rifles, as you call them.
The most victims, the AR-15.
Did you let him finish?
No,
that's the thing.
He's talking bullshit.
Because it's
okay.
Hold on.
We're gonna Ray, we're gonna come back to it. Let's because like I say, it's not really going anywhere. Y'all just we're gonna come back to your point about the cost and whatnot, the assault rifles and everything. Let's let somebody new get a chance to come in here and speak. Rock Stacks, we're gonna go ahead and let you go ahead and speak. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Well, man, all I was going to say is I get you trying to speak on the black crimes and whatever, and like y'all said, that's not what the conversation was about. Black on black crimes wasn't the conversation. We get that, and I understand that in every culture they have their own color on color crimes, whatever you want to call it, white on white, black on black, whatever. They got their own crimes. That's just what it is. That's what it do. But we can't get caught up in something that I know you said something earlier about, you can talk to them and whatever. You can say whatever you want to the young folk, all you want. It's up to you. It's up to the human man or woman to want to make those changes at the end of the day. If they want to make we can push any agenda we want to push to try to show them work, give them work. Listen, the reason why I'm telling you that because I'm a master electrician. I got my own business. Okay? I talk to a lot of young black men and try to get them to want to come to work. And guess what they tell me? Oh, that money ain't fast enough. That money ain't good enough. That's corny. Okay, the average living of going out there and get a 9-to-5 job and everything, they're saying that's corny. That's what they're saying. So, yes, we can beat each other up all day on what you think ain't right, mass shooting, all that. To me, mass shooting personally, and I know I'm not probably right about it, but I honestly believe it's a setup.
You're a disgrace. Another black man not taking accountability for gun violence in our community.
Excuse me?
Come on, TS. Let him speak now. Wait.
And you heard what I said.
Come on, TS. Now you don't want anybody interrupting you. The guy just got on here. Rocksack just got on him. Let him speak. That's one thing we need to do now. Let's show some respect here for everybody now. That's one thing that we always holler about as a people. Oh, this person disrespect me. Let's show some respect right here. Let's show some discipline more than anything else. Okay, when somebody's speaking, let's not just chime in and cut them off. Let that person speak. That's one thing about these spaces. We do not have to agree with each other. Everybody has a right to have a difference of opinion. That's cool. But let's go ahead and let Rockstack speak, TS. And then if you want a rebuttal or something, we can go ahead and do that. But let's go ahead and let the gentleman speak. Go ahead and unmute your mic, Rockstacks.
Thank you. I appreciate that, brother. Well, first of all, I'm not even, TS, you ain't got to get smart mouth with me or nothing. I swear, I'm not going to get evil with you. I ain't got time for it. I love my Lord and Savior too much to care about stuff like that. But what I'm telling you is we can find all kinds of corners and crevices of why some will do and some won't do. I got young black men that will take the jobs and that will work hard and will come. And then I got the young ones who don't. And then I got the ones who halfway want to do it, but then they don't know how to act credibility at the job. They doing things they should not be doing. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's up to that human mind to want to be better and do better, but we can't sit back and keep blaming everything on the old stimulus. Not to say that it don't have nothing to do with it. It's just that we're in a whole new. If y'all can, if evolution can move these people with the music and all the things that they change every year, everybody got their own change to everything that happens, and they move with it, mumble rap, all that stuff, and they move with the change. Then why wouldn't they move with the change to be better? Why you have to push so much to make them change, and then after you push so much, the change still don't happen. We still killing each other at a high rate, and that's color on whatever color crime, however you want to look at it. And when I speak of that on the same race, under the same race, killing each other. That's on all of it at the end of the day. It's all on us to want to make that change within ourselves, too, as well as we need to educate, but we have to want to make those changes at the same time. You see what I'm saying? Because you can educate all you want, but if I don't care about what you're talking to me about, like half our young youth is doing right now, you talking to them, they hearing you, but they ain't listening to you at all. Your mouth is just moving, noise is coming out of it, but they on in a whole nother plane because their mind is still made up on, I got to get to this money. I got to get to what their new word is. I got to get that bag. Come on, man. The same way that the ones that's smart and educated trying to push the smart educated agenda, we got that same defense with the ones who's not, who's changed, who's got the bag, but they're pushing the wrong agenda on how they got the bag and still constantly pushing that agenda. So all that plays a part in that. When you want to blame, you can't. But what they was talking about is the mass shooting from the get-go. They was never putting it on black crime. We always, for why I'm not understanding is, why when we have one, we can be talking about one subject towards this one thing, but the main objective when we talk about it is another black person mostly will run back to, well, how about the black on black crime? But that's not what we're talking about. We can have that conversation, but we're talking about mass shooting. I'm just trying to understand why we run back to that as our first key to defense when we talking about something else. Is always we run back to black on black crime.
Because gun violence devastates Black America. That's why. It's our biggest issue.
Gun violence devastates all of America. Black America ain't the only one here.
We're black, and that's what we're talking
about. It don't matter. It devastates all of America. Those kids wasn't black that got killed.
And it devastates us the most. Out of all Americans, we account for 60% of gun violence.
So yes, those kids was black that got killed. What? Those kids was black that got killed in Texas?
They were not.
Okay,
guess what?
Black crime was something that had nothing to do with
because the same day of that mass shooting, thousands of black males were shot by other black men in this country the same day.
What about the kids at Parkland a couple years ago? The kids at Parkland that were most of us white.
If you lack accountability for the gun violence that black men caused, just say that.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Is he responsible for what other people are?
That head ass nigga, no.
Hey, you can't expect. That's what I mean by ignorance.
Whoa.
That's what I mean by ignorance. You can't change ignorance. That's the same thing the young folk doing. When you're trying to
teach them education, the amount of education that I have.
Hey, Ross, News DJ. I don't think you should be getting mad because he is clearly trolling. You should don't get offended. He's clearly trolling. It's just the only thing I actually kind of want to address is that when he brings up these stats, where are these stats coming from?
And I am a she. Address me as such.
So what does transsexual stands for?
Transsexual.
From what?
Woman.
Ass man, stop the cap, yo.
Okay, so we will not.
Okay, everybody, we getting off topic. We came here to address a serious issue, Tulsa shooting. We didn't come here to pick at each other. We didn't come here to be disrespectful. We damn sure didn't come here to not have any discipline now. This is an important issue. And that's why I made this space for it tonight. I want to go ahead and talk to it because I know we have some serious-minded people that always come to the Newstoter space. I knew this wasn't going to be a huge space, but I knew that I had my brothers and my sisters that were going to come in here, and they were going to go ahead and they were going to share some knowledge and some insight, and we were all going to try to come together and talk about something that really was heartbreaking. Like I say, we talk about the Tulsa Race Massacre. And the first thing that popped in our mind when this thing happened here yesterday was that somebody trying to plot, somebody trying to do something, sideways. And we came to find out that it was a black person that did it. But that stopped me and said, well, a black person committed this horrendous mass shooting here. I'm not going to create a space because that would bring bad attention to black men. No. I said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about it. And that's what we're doing. Let's show some respect here. Let's not be petty. Let's not be childish. Let's act like adults. We all grown up in this space. So let's go ahead and talk like grown people should talk. Whenever you have white people having a debate on TV or whatever, rarely do they get into the name calling and all of this other stuff. We above that. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to agree with everything somebody says, but we can be respectful and just fall back. Let that person say what they need to say, because this is like the most I think I've ever had to click on the mute button. And that's something I don't like doing. I like people to go ahead and just freelance and just talk about what they want to talk, as long as they're showing respect to one another. So I'm going to unmute everybody. I forgot even who damn was speaking, but I'm going to toss it to DJ real quick. DJ, let's hold this space down together.
For sure. We're holding it down tight all day. Shout out to my cuz Rock Stacks all day. You know what I mean? But I did invite Brother General Killmonger up here to speak about the guns. So go ahead, General Killmonger. You're going to mute your mic. So basically,
that was your cousin you were talking about 10 minutes ago.
Stop. That's over with. That's over with, Mr. Zell. So anyway, back to the topic at hand. Come on up, General Killmonger. We were basically talking about how can we get these, get the guns off the street. There's 400 million guns out here, or shouldn't we have guns? Stuff like that. We're just having a general conversation about the mass shootings, the Tulsa shootings. The person that shot up the hospital was a black man. We just talking random stuff in general with the guns. General Killmonger, come on up.
All right, peace, family. I appreciate the invite. Definitely want to speak on, the importance of protection in our community. See, if they take away the guns as far as the law goes, who do you think is going to be left with weapons? Law-abiding citizens or the criminals running the street that actually doing the shooting you're talking about stopping? So you see, it's like the war on drugs. You can hate drugs as much as you want, but crackheads gonna still smoke, meth addicts gonna still find their fix. So ain't no stopping it. What you gotta do is you gotta learn how to.
Still there?
Yeah, your phone breaking up, Killmonger.
Your phone is janky, like your janky opinion.
I mean, TS. Now, I asked you not to come in here trolling. Now you're trolling. Now you're trolling. Now, I mean, this brother hadn't said anything to you sideways, and now you getting on the phone and whatnot. Come on, now you trolling. Now I thought you was going to
be misgendered me, and I'm the TS. You know what I do. Period. Okay. You want proud? You want people in this room or not? This is what I do. Okay.
Wait, hold on. This not even one of my packed rooms. You being in here haven't brought anybody in here. These brothers can tell you now, we didn't have it packed in there. We didn't have Judge Joe Brown. We didn't have Marcel Dixon in here. Even when they hadn't been in here, we still had 400-500 people up in the room now. So, I mean, I ain't all about clout chasing. Hell, you talking to one of the largest black aggregators of black news in America. So I mean, all that clout chasing shit you talking about. I mean, don't even get me started. Now I'll be respectful to you as long as you're respectful to me. But like I said, this space wouldn't even meant. I knew from the beginning this space wasn't going to draw a whole lot of people out. But it is what it is. I like having this space because it's like having your own talk show, a live talk show. That's what I like having this space for. Now we can be simple to one another, or we can get dirty with it. So it's however you want to do it. I'm trying to be respectful here, but you ain't gonna call me out and talk about this and that. And you ain't gonna be calling everybody out in this space either.
Have you ever been on stage with her? And you don't even have no followers, honey.
Hey, real quick, to go back to the topic. Someone in the down below had sent me a DM of the person who shot up the hospital in Tulsa. Turns out he's actually Haitian, and I posted it up in the Jumbotron.
What's that have to do with anything?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's got a lot to do with it. He's not black American.
Because Haitians go out there saying.
Hold on. Everybody is
one at a time, everybody. Come on.
No, I'm saying we getting excited. They'll love it. You know what I'm saying? But hold up a minute. That's good information right there, Quadette. But let General Killmonger go back and say what he was saying about the guns, though. We'll come back to you, Quadette.
I appreciate that, brother. Again, like I was saying, legally taking weapons out of the hands of law-abiding citizens is going to basically turn up the street shootings. The criminals are going to have all of the guns, and no one's going to be legally able to do stuff. Think about it. You got to sit there and wait for somebody with a gun to come and help you when you call 911, right? So what's the point in putting your life in jeopardy, waiting for somebody to come with a gun to help you when you can help yourself legally? All we got to do for this community to curb or even stop the gun violence is to get off of this social media and get yourself in the street, grab a hold to these youths, take the guns and teach them how to use them. You're not going to take them off the street. But if you teach them how to use them, at the very least, they can shoot what they aiming at and stop killing the young kids in the house sitting on the ground. You see, you're not going to be able to eradicate the problem completely, but you can do things to curb and slow down the violence in the street, especially in your community, because you know who these guards are. You stop being scared, stop being a coward, and face these youths and be to them what you needed when you were growing up, then you wouldn't have these problems. But that's a different topic. Secondly, I'm going to address this Haitian dude, right? Because we always use this flat blackness. We got to stop that. If you're not FBA, you are not black. Black was designated to the Aboriginals and the natives who were on this land to remove their connection to the land. Do you think that white people came up with names like Washita County, like Muskogee County? Come on now. Stop being stupid. But you see, this is what educated people do. They let these crackers feed them knowledge in books and then take a test, and that's all they know. Because a cracker gave you a fucking piece of paper, you think you educated more than anybody else in this bitch.
Go ahead, Killmonger. Mute yourself to Miss Giselle. He talking.
But it's all good though. I said my piece. You know, we have to stop being afraid. We have to come together and protect ourselves. Because you think the government is going to protect you, you're still lying to yourself. And the truth, you wouldn't know if it had slapped you in the face. So with all this, I hope that I can see this conversation as far as working in our own communities to curb the crime, policing ourselves, training and learning how to protect ourselves efficiently so that we don't have to worry about nobody else or what kind of laws they come up with. And also making sure we correctly identify who the perpetrators of these crimes are. Because if we do not, we're going to be lumped in to every degenerate immigrant tether that's out here doing whatever they can because they got a country to go back to. You get that? They get deported back to their country. You know what's going to happen to you, though? 6 feet deep. That's my piece. Peace, y'all.
All right, Ray.
Hold on a second, real quick. Hey, hold on a second, Killmonger. Come back here real quick. Hold on a second. Hey, Killmonger, come back up again real quick and speak on the, like you said, we know we ain't going to be able to get all the guns off the street, and you got to go grab the youth by the hand and start teaching them. You know, that's something me and Rocksax was talking about, being he electrician, I'm a musician, just grabbing any old youth and just start teaching them anything, you know, car mechanic, whatever. So could you come back up and speak on who do you think is responsible, obviously, for all the guns on the street? You know what I mean? It's 400 million guns, like Ray said. You know, you can't get them all off the street. You know, like Rockstack said, you know, you can teach these kids whatever you want to teach them, but 9 times out of 10, it seems like they just don't want to listen until it's too late. You know what I mean? So, you know, who do you think is responsible for all these guns on the street? Is it the government, the gun manufacturer like Remington or Glock? You know what I'm saying?
Brother, I mean, you know, our government is pretty much the number one perpetrator of guns on the street. You could talk to the brothers out there in Chicago, the Black Peace Stones, the Vice Lords, who wake up in the morning with crates of guns on the street. Because this is the thing. We not naturally a violent people. You understand? The man-made poverty that was created for us to be in, like a bucket, isn't a crab's natural habitat. But you hear people talk about how crabs in a bucket always keep each other in. So this man-made situation that was created for us, you throw a little guns in the mix, create the music to turn it up a little bit, and guess what? Our enemy is sitting back, watching us kill each other. Yeah, they go out and get them. They go out and get them 1 or 2 every now and again, but we doing the work for them. They put the guns in the street. They the ones who use cartels and try to figure out who the next Rick Ross is, who the next Sambo nigga that's gonna sell out his people for a shiny nickel. 30 pieces of silver, ain't that what Judas came up with? You see, when we start policing ourselves, when we start organizing our community around our own interests, our own investment, our family, the black man, woman, and child, everybody gets in a defensive posture. As long as we contribute into every other agenda that's formed against us, we ain't got no problems. Right? What's on the line is our very existence. You see what I'm saying? This isn't a game or a joke. And just because some people are too confused to figure out who they really are, don't mean we should fall in line with the bullshit. The government is putting the guns on the street. The police are taking guns off the street and then selling them back on the street. It's happening. That's why I say you got to get out here. You know, it's what it is.
Appreciate that, brother.
And if
Appreciate
they're putting
that.
the guns back on the street, that's because they know you niggas are going to get them and kill other niggas.
With that being said, go ahead, Quadid. You wanted to speak on the Haitian suspect? Shout out to
actually, it's Ray go. Let Ray go, and then let the Quadri go.
Could we cut out the nigga? We ain't gotta use that.
Can y'all hear me? So I just wanted to say this about the Second Amendment. Whether you want to admit it or not, the Second Amendment, that's the only thing that prevents the U.S. government from having absolute control over the people. Whether we realize it or not, the government is afraid of the American people because we have guns. In other countries, the government does what it wants to its people because those people do not have a Second Amendment right. So at best, the only thing people can do is protest, rally, throw rocks, things like that. But in America, the government pushes us too far. We might start throwing some 223 or some 9mm at their asses. That's why the media, they tries to scare us with sensationalism because they want us to give up our rights blindly. And whether you like it or not, and I mean this, the only thing standing in the way of the government having complete dominance over the American people is the Second Amendment. That's just the truth. And something that Tia said, she wants to give, like she said, she's for banning guns, but it's as simple as this. We have 19 million semi-automatic rifles in this country. No one is going to turn a rifle that they paid anywhere between, I think, $1,000 to $5,000 to a government so they can give us $600. If the government tries to go door to door and confiscate them, that's going to start a civil war. If they try to institute a buyback program, whether it's mandatory or involuntary, it will be met with a giant, we will not comply, so you need to come and get them. And if they do try to come and get them, it's going to start a civil war. However you want to try to slice it, I promise you, it will not end well. And I'm passionately trying to avoid it getting to that point.
You sound like a white man. I'm disgraced.
Good. I don't even get it. But let's get back to the topic.
Just ignore it. Just ignore it.
No, family. Let's just be real. I've come in here. I haven't said anything. I've been respectful. She needs to be booted. It's gotten to that point.
Right, but even with that being said, Ray, you can hold it down yourself as far as crack back on him or her. You know what I'm saying? Or
no, but that's
you feel people like that with silence.
Hold on.
No, Ray's right. Ray's right.
Right.
Enough is enough.
Yeah, enough is enough. But hold on a minute. You can say your piece though back to that person though, right? You got to hold your own, as they say in these spaces. You feel what I'm saying?
No, he's been holding his own. He's been respectful.
Right.
She done took shots at me. She done took shots at everybody in there.
Right, but hold on. We're also here to correct though too. We're also here to educate too. So why drop it down? Let it go ahead and rock. And if you be disrespectful, T.S. Giselle, we just gonna meet you. That's all. But you're gonna get this work today as far as this education, because everything you saying is they correct on some real shit. Mm-hmm.
Well, I already clicked the remove button on us.
I just want to say I appreciate that, because like I said, I've been calling her names. I've been accused her of being a man.
Not only that, this man has always been loyal to this space here. He's always gone the extra mile with the content and this and that. Like I say, she's attacked everybody in here, called people names. Now, the first time we started questioning her or his sexuality, then we the bigot. So hell no. Damn all that. Ain't nobody gonna be kissing nobody's ass in here like that. You just completely disrespectful to the defense.
Facts.
Yeah,
Real quick. Let me say something real quick, man. Listen, people like that hate theyself. Listen, made a major. I don't know if y'all listen to my man Honeycomb, and he made a major thing he said on Vivica Fox. Said people like that, they hate theyself so much, and they despise theyself. You in here throwing shade at everybody. Well, everybody is who they supposed to be, a man or a woman, whatever you know what I'm saying. They are who they supposed to be, what God gave you to be. But you in here pretending to be a woman, but is a man, born as a man. Come on, man. You already know where that negative world is at. You just got to let
you sitting up here talking about the space. Like I said, we done had Judge Joe Brown and Marcel and them up in here. You sitting up here, if you all that, why the space ain't rocking more than that?
Exactly.
I was about to pull her ass out of here when she said that dumb shit.
Exactly.
Hey, Todd, I play a new article from Twitter. Not Twitter, YouTube. But I did send it to your DM right there on Twitter. If you want to play it from your space, go YouTube.
Go ahead and let Quadri go ahead and speak, and then go ahead and see who else want to speak. If not, then go ahead and play it.
All right. Before
hold on, everybody. Mute your mics, everybody. If you're not talking, mute your mic.
Okay, let me mute mine.
All right. Go ahead, Quad.
Yeah, before I get to the point, I want to talk about TS real quick. I don't know if you guys know, so Ray's been very respectful to him. He was even calling him she. He was just being ridiculous. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but he kept throwing up his stats like he got like 3 degrees. He does this, he does that. I don't know. I felt very uncomfortable because I thought he was trying to holler at somebody here. I swear. I saw he was doing that. I started being quiet for a little bit. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys caught that. I don't know if it was just me. All right. But
yeah, he kept throwing the 2 fingers up and whatnot. But like I say, I try, and this is the most we've had to really mute the mic. So I was trying to be respectful and get the thing back on board and this and that. And let you state your opinion of what you feel about this and that. But I already knew, like I said, when he came in here, because like I say, me and him or her or whatever, done went at it before on Twitter before. So that's why I was like, I already knew the trolling was going to start, and I knew it wouldn't be long before he made his attack on heterosexual men, black men, that he loves to attack anyways. It's always everything that's wrong with the black community is heterosexual black. Everything that's wrong with the world is heterosexual black men. So I knew it wouldn't be long before he went on this little tangent talking about heterosexual black men. And I just had to remind him that one time that any right that you got is because of heterosexual black men. And the fact that you can sit up here and you and your people can piggy bank off the civil rights movement is because of heterosexual black men.
Right. To the point. So up in the Jumbotron, I don't know if it's Mr. or Miss Unique, but she's down there in the audience. He or she is down there in the audience. Sent this tweet to my DM that says the mainstream media called this Tulsa shooter Michael Lewis. His name is Michaelette Lewis Baptiste. They get that we no longer want to be lumped in with these tethers. Haitians, take your L and wear it proudly. And that's it. And that's the picture of him when he was young. So I went to the news article of him, of his mugshot. Yeah, and this is the same dude. It's the exact same dude. Not to cut you off, because I also want to say is that sometimes, I think I asked the question earlier if he was FBA or not. Because what they call Michael Luis. Yeah, so he had an FBA sounding name.
I think we might have lost him.
Yeah, he connecting back up. Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead. Come back up, Quadid, when you get a chance, bro.
But before Ray take over, but when I was reading the article and Ray was saying they did go by the name Michaelette, and I didn't even think about it at that time. Like they also called him Michaelette, but yeah. So yeah, he was like he is a foreigner.
Right, and the one thing that's what I'm trying to say. It's going to be a little tough for the buy off of the American to do things like this. If you check it out, most of our mass shootings been a foreigner. Think about that Virginia one, the one back at Virginia Tech years ago. Foreigner. You know what I'm saying? So it troubles me, and that's the only reason why I asked y'all earlier the question. Y'all don't think it might be a sale? Because it's just weird how it be these people that they keep naming, and these people be foreigners, and they always got a story behind them, but then they get lost. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all ever pay attention to these people that we have that be doing this mass shooting, you know what I'm saying? And then turning around, it be a foreigner or just an off-white person.
I don't disagree at times.
Like I said, I might not be correct if that's it. And it could be just they just lunched out, they lost their mind. I'm not saying that, but it's weird to me. Remember the one in Florida with the gay supposed to went into a gay place and shot up those people in Florida? Do y'all remember that one? I think that was in
Orlando.
That was in Orlando.
Right.
That was in
supposed to have been a gay guy in the gay place that he shot up.
Yeah, it was a club, a nightclub, a gay nightclub.
Correct. Now you got the other one who went and shot up the base, went and shot up a couple of, but remember that was a black cop. I'm sorry, not a black cop. He was a black man he actually was seeking revenge for all the killing the cops that was going on, killing the black dudes. That's the only one to me that we actually read on that was in that type of direction. The rest of them been like mass shootings.
No doubt. Ray, I see you got your hand up. Go ahead.
I just want to thank you for getting that troll up out of there, man. We're trying to have constructive conversation. And when I come to you and I ask you simple questions, what is assault weapon? What is this? What is that? I expect you to give me a common sense answer since you got all these degrees. That's my thing. Like, don't come in here trolling. Don't come in here being disrespectful. I didn't call you names, even though you called me names. I was like, I'm just let it go, because honestly, when he, she, they, or whatever the hell it identifies as comes back, don't even let them in the space. Just keep them down there. Don't allow them to speak, because they're gonna come up here and troll and try to throw the energy off in the space. You notice we started getting into LGBT. We started getting into all these other little crazy things that the space has nothing to do about. And if you guys go on her page, y'all will see she's supposedly just transsexual, whatever. But she's bashing Marcel. She's bashing Tariq. She's bashing the people that actually getting out here trying to do something.
To be honest, when I saw in the space, I wasn't gonna even, because like I say, I know personally, me and it, we've been going back and forth. We done went back and forth a number of times. So I meant to tell DJ not to even allow her to speak, because I already knew. And that's when I said, when she got up there, I said, now listen, I know me and you, we done went back and forth many a times. So don't even start. But I should have. It was my fault, because I should have been kicked her behind out of here from the get go, and I didn't.
Right. Hey, but look,
I just want to say this real quick. I gotta go, fam. I catch y'all in the next space, man.
For sure, Ray. One love, brother.
One love, man.
Hey, but look, Tyler, even with that being said, hey, mute your mic, Rock. Mute your mic. So even with that being said, I already picked up on it, Tyler. That's why I said, go ahead, Ray. Just let them go. Let the person do what they're gonna do. Either let it slide or go ahead and get your verbal on with them. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you can't beat nobody with the verbiage. With all them degrees you got, you couldn't even tell Ray where you got the information from. You feel what I'm saying? So
the whole point of coming up here was just to troll and to cause confusion.
Facts.
Right. And I understand that 100%. So, in respect to Brother Ray, too, I wasn't sticking up for that person. I'm sticking up for you as well, too, brother. You feel what I'm saying? So, but people like that, see, with me, I know how to troll you back to the point I'm going to just kill you with kindness. You feel what I'm saying? So it's funny to me, because all you're going to do is make yourself look like the asshole. But go ahead, though.
Let's go ahead and let Malcolm go ahead and speak. There's a new speaker. Let Malcolm chime in real quick.
Hey, peace to the family. I appreciate you all allowing me to speak real quick. I just wanted to bring to the space attention, especially when it came to TS. It's a lot of rhetoric regarding, black males and black community violence, but what he or she failed to speak about is the violence in the LGBTQ community, which leads in domestic violence, right? So it's very important that we bring these topics up, especially when we get that kind of rhetoric and that kind of negativity to the family.
No, don't worry about it, because starting next week, Monday to Thursday, I'm gonna start doing nightly Twitter spaces. I'm gonna try to do it at least 3-4 times a week. I want to connect with everybody, and that's gonna be one of the issues I'm gonna bring up. It's gonna be about the transgender stuff. So I'm glad in the sense that she did make his way into this space, because I already meant to bring that topic up to play, but it definitely be coming up in one of the Twitter spaces next week. Believe that. Go ahead, Claudia. Go ahead and speak.
Yeah. So when TS came in, I like most of you know, we knew that he was going to start trolling, but I thought it was a good opportunity to combat any BS talking points that that people bring up. And his was very easy, especially with the article, like what Malcolm was saying, the 16 to 24 year old, the 16 to 24 year olds are killing each other with guns by some whatever percentage that he brought up. But I was asking, like, based off of what? And I don't know if you guys noticed when we brought the attention back to the main topic of how ag he got. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, because he couldn't back anything up substantially. Like I told him, I said, in this space here, we source up. Like, you talking to somebody that runs a site based on sources and curates. So if you're gonna start running off at the mouth here, you got to go ahead and source up. And that was something that he wasn't willing to do. He just had to run his mouth, and then when it got to the point where he got frustrated, anybody that came in here and said something, you saw the troll just started taking shots, calling people out names and this and that, and talking about somebody's white, and you up here running around talking about your damn transgender. So I mean, I'm not even gonna start for I get put back in the Twitter jail. Let me just let that go. I ain't gonna touch it.
Yeah, one last thing before I go, because I gotta go.
Education too.
Hey, Rock, let me say one last thing before I go. Like I was saying earlier, he kept talking about himself a lot and throwing up his stats. We gotta be careful out here. All right. Peace and love to the family. Appreciate the space, and I'll catch you guys at the next space.
No doubt. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna if you want to say something, we're gonna go ahead and close things out tonight. And I'll go ahead and let you say something. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and close the space out.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to play this 4-minute article to reiterate something T.S. Giselle was saying about how it's heterosexual men doing all this killing out here. But if Killmonger, I guess Cordier closed out already. So if Killmonger or Rockstacks want to close out real quick and I could just go last.
I mean, all I was going to say is anybody that got to continue to talk about how they highly educated and all that, I'm a question their education. Because, see, when you got your education and you got your degrees and you got all that, you don't got to speak for it because it already speaks for itself. So that's what you got to do in order to try to get your point across is try to use education that you may or may not have. I mean, none of us really know. We don't see none of that accolades to show that's true or not. Then, you know, to me personally, I question it. I don't think you really got that education.
Facts on that. Killmonger, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say again that, you know, it's good that the energy in the space, I always love to see it come together, but I really wanted to manifest in the streets, you know, things we sit and discuss about, the ideas coming together, that need to be put into action. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it for me.
For sure. I don't know if you want me to go now, Tyler, with the thing.
Yeah, go ahead, because like I said, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and close this out. So,
all right, 2 seconds. So basically, this is a hold on a second. Stop that real quick. Basically, it was a shooting at Xavier University that involved 2 black women and wound up killing an elderly black woman. You know what I mean? So let's listen in on that real quick. And I'm just picking one of the random videos, even though I saw it 2 days ago. I'm just picking a random video off of YouTube describing it or whatever. Let me know if y'all can hear it, all right?
I got work, don't pull out a gun and they started shooting. That's like, shot. You remember they were shooting, it was like 20 or 25 shots.
A fight after a high school graduation held at Xavier this morning leads to a deadly shooting. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for watching. I'm Katie. And I'm Sharice Gibson. Officials say that despite having security posted inside and out for the high school graduation held at Xavier today, people were shot, and one of them, a grandmother of one of these graduates, died. The NPD says that it started as a fight in the parking lot between 2 women. Erica Ferrando is joining us live from Xavier. Erica, what do we know about the shooting?
Katie and Sharice, just within the last minutes, the crime tape that was in this parking lot has been removed. This is where 3 people were shot just before noon. It's right next to this building on Xavier's campus where the graduation was held this morning. And it was as graduates and their families started leaving, they heard gunshots.
It never go get this far.
Maurice Jeff High School graduate Lewis Hall was leaving Xavier's Convocation Center with family when he learned a fight broke out in the parking lot right outside.
They were fighting. My cousin let me know, he was like, they fighting over there, let's go. And I wasn't moving. Then I heard gunshots. That's when everybody started to run, which is more and more and more of them.
He and his family were safe, but according to graduates we spoke with, someone's grandmother was shot.
I was like, one of my friends' grandma got shot right in the middle of the street. She didn't have anything to do with it. She was innocent. This is not cool.
NOPD confirmed an elderly woman died. She was one of 3 people shot. The other 2 were men. NOPD has not confirmed their ages or if they were graduates.
There was a gunshot went to the shoulder, and the other one sustained a gunshot went to the leg.
According to NOPD Deputy Superintendent Chris Goodley, the incident started when a fight broke out just after the graduation ceremony ended.
Between apparently 2 females in the parking lot behind me.
He says after the fight, someone pulled out a gun and started shooting. Investigators found several weapons and are still trying to figure out who fired the shots and whether there were multiple shooters.
Senseless act of violence at this time.
My mom took all of us and just kind of huddled us in the corner.
Logan Mitchell is visiting from Nebraska for his sister's graduation.
This is something that these kids are supposed to be able to turn back and look on and be proud of, but now they're going to think of this.
Graduate Joseph Neighbor agrees. A day of pride shattered by violence.
Like, you just shot somebody, Grandma, you just shot an old lady. Like, congratulations. You know what I'm saying? Shot the old lady. This unfortunate incident
did not have to happen.
It's just sad.
NOPD told us this afternoon at least 3 people were taken into custody for questioning, but so far no arrests have been made, and they're asking anyone who may have seen who fired those shots to call police so they can try and wrap up this investigation. For now, live from Xavier, Erica Ferrando, Eyewitness News.
All right, it is sad on so many levels. Thank you, Erica. And today's shooting happened less than 2 weeks after someone opened fire at a high school graduation held in Hammond. That shooting also started with an argument between students at Hammond High and their families as they were leaving at the ceremony at Southeastern. Police arrested a 20-year-old suspect and said more arrests in that case were likely. Governor Edwards sent a statement to say he hopes people join him in prayer for the victims, but he also said, quote, in light of recent gun violence in Buffalo and Uvalde, gun safety discussions and action involving expanded background checks and red flag laws are very much in order. The head of Morris Jeff School, Patricia Perkins, says, quote, every day we teach our children to solve their differences with their words and be compassionate toward each other. Our graduates will make a difference in this world because they learn to see each other as equal human beings. This resolve is only stronger after today's violence.
Yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming into the Twitter space tonight. We had a smaller crowd than we normally had, but I felt like we still had a pretty good discussion going on. And like I say, next week, we're going to be doing 3-4 Twitter spaces a week. I want to go ahead and get this. This is going to be like our nightly news, nightly conversation. So you guys get ready. And we're going to go ahead and meet up next week, next Monday. Probably, I'd say, probably 9 o'clock is probably a good time. 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you guys take care, and I appreciate everybody who came out and supported the space. And always, if you have $1, go ahead and contribute it to Newstoter. That's $ Cash App. $ Newstoter is our Cash App. $ Newstoter. So once again, thank you guys for coming out, and I'll see you on Monday. Everybody have a good one.
Enjoy the day, Tyler. Appreciate everybody.
I'll be concerned. Enjoy your day, bro.
You too, man.
Y'all have a good one, fellas.